Hey, how's it going? Uh, well, I hope everybody's having a good day, and I hope your day went the way you wanted it to go. You know, my day went pretty good. Uh, actually, lately I've been getting up and kind of falling back to sleep for some reason, and that happened this morning. Went to sleep and got up. Ended up getting up like 3:05, and got some things taken care of and all that kind of stuff. Um, I did end up, uh, I did end up getting out, and I had a pretty good day. The first rider I had today, he was he was a little bit annoying because he as soon as his butt hit the seat, he was asking, "Can you turn the radio up? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you stop here?" And I was like, you know what? I was so glad that my dash camera came, and I knew it was coming this afternoon because dash cameras they deter uh, most people because camera, you really everything's being recorded, and a lot of people like to duck behind my driver's seat over in the corner when they're trying to do something, and it's like, you know, I guess the way I feel, I just don't have time to babysit uh, adults. I don't have time to babysit other people's kids. I just don't, and that's not something that I'm going to do. And I had a pretty good day, but I met this one guy, picked him up, really funny guy, and we were talking about different things, and he was telling me about how his brother. Oh, that's the way it started. I had forgot that. I thought today was uh, Wednesday, but today is Thursday. It's a good thing when you're one day behind. It sucks when you're one day ahead. But so I was asking him what today's day, what was today's day, and he said today is Thursday, and he had to check his phone or whatever, and we ended up talking about. He ended up talking about his brother and said he was in some bowling league or whatever, and he said, yeah, my brother, he's got a bowling league on Tuesday, and he said, oh, you got another one on Thursday, so you in two bowling leagues? And he said that's awfully funny because he can't pay no damn rent, and that was pretty hilarious. And we were talking about. He said his brother works at General Motors, and one works at Chrysler, and we were talking about the what do you call it, profit sharing. So I mentioned, the norm. Profit sharing is like taxed at like 55%, I think. And most people they don't really do the math, And I'm not a mathematician or anything like that, but I do the math. When I look at a job and see what they're paying, I automatically cut it in half. When they say, "Oh, we're giving a $10,000 bonus," cut it in half. As a matter of fact, the bonus cut that more than in half. Because that's what you will be bringing home. So I had we were talking, and I was telling him about how, and I think I mentioned this before, but I was telling him about uh, how back in I'm 53, so back in '98, I worked for General Motors in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and my auntie, who is the one who got me in, and she used to brag or whatever, and she was making like 30, 32, 33, whatever. And back then, $32 or $33 was good money. I mean, you were, living good neighborhood, had car, this, that, and the other, or whatever. While meanwhile, I think my mother was making, I think $13, $14 an hour, I think. It might have been 15. I could be wrong. But so I was working at General Motors. I think I was making 17, I think. So I was telling him that back in 98, $30 was good money. But number one, you know, the big three, they don't pay that much anymore. I think they pay I think you start off at like 21 and then you end up at like 25, which is pretty decent. But it's like for this economy, you know, as far as my calculations, $30 an hour is you only bringing home like 700 a week. Maybe 800, whatever, give or take $100. It's still a rough paycheck to take care of yourself, not to mention to raise a family. So we were talking about that, and he was talking about how, what profit sharing that they got and everything. And he said, I think General Motors got a little bit and Ford got this, and then Chrysler, they didn't get anything because, with the whole electric deal, it just didn't pan out. They lost and are losing a lot of money in that whole deal. And then, it's like Ford, they're still coming out with another electric truck. It's like by now it would have been like, if I was a CEO, I would tell the owners, you might want to give it up because you could be wasting that money, giving it to the employees, paying them more money. You're losing, billions of dollars, for the Ford F-150. Every truck that they produce, they're losing money. So it's like, somebody's got to be the person that says, hey, you might fire me, but, you need to, get the clue here. But besides that, I had noticed something too. I was driving and I heard a noise and I really didn't know what it was. And then once I calm my nerves down and start thinking, because when something happens, your mind goes haywire. But when I started thinking about it, then I said, okay, let me get home, let me jack it up. No, I wasn't going to fix nothing. I just jacked up each wheel to check the wheel bearings, which is the first sign, So I checked all my wheels, come to find out one wheel bearing in the back is bad. So, the rear wheel bearings are pretty easy. That's nothing. So it's not going to be, a big deal. I may do it this weekend or something like that. And then I went in the house, did my half hour of biking. And yes, I'm still doing biking. I'm, a little over a year strong, down, 60 pounds and maintaining a weight of 200, maintaining a constant weight. For those of you that are taking all that GL1 stuff, it's not that serious. Just saying, it's all about your sugar intake, because if you understand weight loss, then you'll understand that what you're doing is basically, if you take a cup of sugar, right, at the end of the day, your body, after it's done processing everything that you've taken in for the day, we'll just use an example as a cup of sugar. So you go exercise, take a spoon a spoon of sugar out of that cup of sugar, and that's basically an analogy or my analogy for what you're doing. You're, shoveling sugar in your body, and then you go exercise and get rid of that little spoonful of sugar. And that's, the reason that most people can't lose weight. Me personally, I'm pretty good at figuring things out and just putting my mind to it. I've always believed that it was mind over matter. I never let anything, control me. I just wouldn't. That's just something in my head. But it's not that hard. I'm a diabetic also. So at one point I had to, make a decision or continue to get on more medicine. So it was really, really simple. I just looked at the food, because my mother and other people have been telling me my whole life that food has sugar in it, and this, eat whole wheat bread and yada yada yada. So I finally started looking at the food, and when I started looking at the food, then I come to find out, man, it's like 97% of the intake that you take in every day has sugar in it. So once you understand that, then, if you're similar to me, then you set up your daily thing, and you start to realize what you can eat. And I think I said this in an earlier episode, but what I do is I get up, I bought some whole wheat biscuits because I only do whole wheat. I bought a little plastic Tupperware bowl that's about same roundness as those biscuits. You crack an egg, put it in there, break the yolk, put it in the microwave for about 1 minute. Then once it's done, you take it out, take the egg out, put the bottom of the biscuit in, egg on top, and you want to get some sausages that are about the same width as the muffin also. Put all of that back in the bowl, put it back in the microwave for about 2 minutes, comes out piping hot. And I drink these waters called Thirst Quencher from Myers. They have them at Walmart, but I wouldn't get the ones from Walmart because the ones at Walmart, they have different ingredients in them. So if you're wondering, if you go to Walmart, you go to pick one up, just Google thirst quenchers and look at the ingredients. And those are good because they have potassium in them. So, if anybody who knows anything about potassium, that's what they give you to lower your blood pressure, because I believe potassium, don't get me wrong, because I don't really know this, but I believe potassium gets rid of the iodine in your system, I believe. So I drink 2 of those a day. I eat a sandwich with deli meat on it, whole wheat bread. I eat 3 apples, and I eat a cut up grapefruit every day. That's what I eat while I'm, doing my job. And then I come home and I'll eat, chicken, or believe it or not, I ate 3 steaks last weekend. I'm eating 3 steaks this weekend. Steaks are you can do steaks. You can do most meat. I don't do fried food because that's it raises your cholesterol. So I try to bake everything. And even chips. My arch nemesis is sherbet and corn chips or Doritos. And that's kind of my treat. I'll probably have those this weekend because, and those do turn to sugar because it's corn. Like grits is made out of ground up corn, so that turns to sugar. But you can do those sparingly, So, and plus I exercise every day, so it's not that hard. And also, you end up, depending on where you are in your weight loss journey, you end up losing weight pretty quick at first. And then you'll hit a plateau. And that's what happened to me. I hit the plateau, and then I said, well, do I really want to, how some people do, they really starve themselves just to get down to, 150, 155, whatever. And I said, no, I want to be able to sustain this long term. So in order to do that, I have to do something that where I can eat, because starving yourself, that's just not the way to go. That's what everybody thinks. They think, to lose weight, here, let me starve myself. No, that's like okay, let me keep my car from breaking down by just putting water in it. And that's not going to last long. Because you're starving your body of all the nutrients it needs. You're starving your body of the fiber it needs. As a matter of fact, I have to go get some what do you call those pills? Was it probiotics or prebiotics? It's one or two. It's just a pill you want to take that I think it somehow, don't get me wrong, because I don't really know. I'm not an expert. It puts the bacteria in your either small intestines or large intestines, and it's supposed to be good for you. So I got to get some tomorrow. I just thought about that as I'm saying it. So I also, real quick, just throwing this in, also bought a buffer because well, let me finish with the weight loss. That's it. With weight loss, it's not that hard. Once you start eating right, then you're fine. And trust me, I eat all day. So don't think that I'm over here starving or, drinking water, all day long, because that can be bad for you too much water. So, you have to remember that. But like I was going to say, I bought a buffer too, because I needed one, because what had happened was my other car, my 2021 convertible Mustang, I had bought a scraper from AutoZone. And I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if something is in the bottom of my Prius, a little trunk bin or what. But in the wintertime, when I'd go back off there, clean the car off, whatever, just to show people it's being used. And I said, okay, let me scrape this ice off a little bit. Scraped it off, and then I came back out the next time and looked, and there were black marks all over my car. And I'm like, man, did somebody vandalize my damn car? I said, these doggone haters. And come to find out, it was me. It was the scraper that did it, because I did it. I scraped off my Neon, my work car, and it did the same thing. So I said, oh, okay, now I see what's going on. That's this doggone scraper. There was something coming off the bottom part of it. It's like black. I'm not sure what it is, but I said, okay, now I know. But the way I got rid of it, unfortunately, I took a wet, used Scotch pad and, just wet it up and lightly got the marks off. But, of course, it kind of left little marks in the clear coat, my paint. So I gotta see if I can. That's why I bought the buffer. I'm gonna see if I can buff those out or whatever. I've been wanting to do a buff wax job on it anyway, so I can do that too. In other news, my daughter called me earlier, sent me a message, and it was okay, but it was kind of weird because of some past issues that we've had. But it was okay. She called me and said hi. Good morning, Dad. She said, "How you doing?" "I'm good." And then she said, "How'd I sleep?" And I was like, look, I don't know what's going on there. I appreciate it, but I'm good. I'm at work. Is there something you need, or you finna ask me for something, or or what. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, saying that my daughter can't ask me how I sleep, but there's part of our history that I'm not telling you. Probably never will. But, after that, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm at work. What do you want? Oh, I'm just calling to check on you, Dad. Oh, okay. I'm good. I appreciate her checking on me, but, I'm good. I'm only 53, but, but I don't know. Besides that, I didn't do anything else. I did cut out a little bit earlier because I heard that sound in my car or whatever. But besides that, I didn't do anything. I'm gonna eat here in a minute, and I'm gonna watch that movie. It's on Netflix right now. I'm gonna watch that movie, the one with the about the oil rig that caught on fire. I'm gonna watch that today and kind of chill with that. I just wanted to get this, get an episode out and kind of chit chat with you all, let you know how my day went, see how your day went, leave a comment about how your day went, or, maybe something you would like to discuss or whatever, or, tell me what you think about my sound. I have not touched the settings because just a backstory on that too, that I'm new to podcasting, but I've been fighting settings like everybody else for like the past 6 months, and finally landed on a setting that sounds good on my computer, on my TV, and in my car. Really, really hard to get all of those, right. So I'm good with it now. It has a slight little bit of a boom to it, just a hair, but nobody's perfect. It sounds good. It sounds like it's easy to listen to. It's warm. So, it's definitely doable. If you go back and listen to some of my other podcast episodes, then you'll see the difference. It's a huge difference. All of them are decent, but I wasn't happy with the earlier episode sounds. And when you're doing podcasts, you're obsessed with your sound and getting it perfect and whatever, so that's just part of podcasting. But like I said, I wanted to get an episode out and, just chit chat with my listeners, and feel free to leave a comment about, your day, or, let me know what you think of my sound. Is it easy to listen to, or whatever? Or, if you need some podcasting advice, let me know. I'd be glad to explain some things.